So we're entering week number 4, and last week's opening was absolutely fucking insane. Not only did we pull most of the cards for the Invoked archetype, we can now actually run it in our deck. Oh boy. But on the other hand, it does need a bit more pieces. I would be happy to get another Invocation, possibly. And in all fairness, I would want a third Alistair as well. So possibly for the last week, we are again going to dive into 8 packs of Shadows of Valhalla, and then the weeks after that, most likely, we'll be going into Battles of Armageddon in order to get to the remaining Invoked cards, hopefully. It's either that, or I will possibly open something like a Duel Devastator or Duel Overload in order to find Predaplant Anaconda or some of the hand traps that we need. On the other hand, though, for this week, we're looking for 2 cards only. We are looking for Invocation, and we are looking for a third Alistair. In 8 packs, considering last week's luck, I'm not holding anything up to this week, but on the other hand, who knows what will happen, right? Abyss Lead. Ninjutsu Art of Transformation. Glow Moss, this is a traditional old card. Speaking of which, Hidden Village and Ninjutsu Arts. Nothing in that pack. I'm keeping these separate because my personal deck could use them, I suppose. I don't think I'll ever play Abyss Lead, but the other mermaids have been nice pulling. I have them in common. Oh, this pack is resistant. This pack has something in it. This pack has something in it. Let's go. What? High Speed Road Canabra. Ninjutsu Art of Alchemy. Chaos Neos. Another Abyss Tejas. I now have a playset of these, and Entity Nyarla. Alright. I'll have a playlist of, I think it's super rare? Yeah, it's super rare. Abyss Tejas. I suppose I shouldn't complain. Alright. Going into the next pack. Red Dragon Ninja. Vision Hero Trinity. Oh! That's a really good pull. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. So we actually get ourselves our first hand trap. Huh. I thought this was in the set. Nice. Golden Bamboo Sword. Ninja Grandmaster Saiso. Hey, I don't even mind if we pull another Invoked card here. I'm perfectly happy getting a hand trap. I'm not gonna lie with you. Alright. Let's just keep digging in because I'm excited. Holy shit. We almost haven't finished Invoked Core, and that makes me happy. Neospatian Glow Moss. An Abyss Megalo. Valkyrie Erst. Goddess Skull's Oracle. Yellow Dragon Ninja. Don't care about your ninja ways there, buddy. 4 more packs. An Alistair or an Invocation. Come on. I would prefer an Invocation, to be honest, but you can't always have what you want, can you? Believe. Aztec Magician. I don't really know what this does. Return also this card points to the hand. No. Cyberdark Impact. Mist Valley Apex Avion. Abyss Lead. Ninjutsu Art of Mirage Transformation. New card, new secret rare, but not one that we want, unfortunately. Ooh, come on. We really want it here. Come on. Invocation. That is an Upstart Golden Ninja. That is a Super Transformation Ninjutsu Arts. Another whatever magician. Twilight Ninja Jogan? Gem Knight Seraphine. Dang it. I mean, we've gotten 1 pull. We got a hand trap. It's better than nothing. 2 packs remaining. Let's go. Still have 8 chances for an Invocation. Chaos Neos. A third whatever magician. Savite. Rust Mist. A spell? Twin Twister? Gateway to Chaos. Dang it. Last pack. We need something out of this. Could this be our first dud after last week's absolutely insane opening? That'd be depressing, wouldn't it? Alright, here we go. Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo. Strike Ninja. What the fuck, ninjas? Well, I finished my playset of Galos and Old Entity Kithuga. Well, that's... Considering last week's very valiant efforts in pack opening, I guess I can't really be that angry. But at the very least, if you could focus camera. Camera, there you go. At the very least, we did pull ourselves an Ash Blossom, which definitely is going into the deck. This is just standard hand trap at this point. But that is really the only card that we opened from this, which is unfortunate. But on the other hand, there are other ways we can find these cards. Considering we now have 2 Aliesters, probably the best way we can go about this is start opening Battles of Legend Armageddon, because in there, Invocation is a secret rare, as well as all of the other Invocation fusions is available in that set. Aliester unfortunately isn't, but I think we can still get by running 2. And if we need another one at some point, we can always return to Shadows of Valhalla in an attempt to get it. But for now, I'll cut back to myself, and we'll go back with his weekly duels with our new Ash Blossom in hand. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the gloves are officially off. We're no longer with training wheels inside of Project Ignis. We're heading straight into Dueling Book to get into our first ranked match. You heard me right. We are officially going for the title of King of Games. Now, that does mean a few things about the structure of the series need to change, mostly because of how things work. Simply put, when I was using Project Ignis, I was fully capable of cutting out games that didn't last a full match, because some people don't realize that they are in a match duel, and others just quickly realize that it's a losing matchup, or any of the other reasons you could possibly think of, meaning the content sort of disappears. Fortunately, and unfortunately, I was able to simply just skip those games and be able to show you 5 full sets of games for every episode. But on Dueling Book, we actually have rank points on the line, meaning if someone does a leave like this, we get a victory which gains us points, which would normally offset the series, giving us a, quote, unfair win. So, we're going to add the additional rule of a buy. During normal, in real life events, such as just playing at your local game store, if you receive a buy, it counts as an automatic win because you simply do not have an opponent for the round. In our case, we will always have an opponent, but the chance is that they could disconnect or rage quit. On one hand of the spectrum, this does mean that we get a free win. On the other hand, though, it's not exactly a deserved win. So, our buy rule is going to be that if we have an opponent disconnect from a match, we are going to count that as a half win. Simply put, we will be earning 2 star chips for the victory of that match, but we will not add it as a victory to our overall performance. Instead, we will be adding it as a draw. This way, we can always ensure that the 5 games we had have an impact on our rating, but we can avoid the issue that comes with, just accepting a free win, because let's be honest, that wouldn't really feel fair. Secondly, the sort of layout for the duels will be a little bit different. You will see it as it's coming up, because Dueling Book is a fully manual simulator, meaning that people, myself and others, can make mistakes. We are also able to revert the mistakes, so on and so forth. It's not fully automatic, as you can probably guess. Therefore, you may see issues in play and illegal moves being performed, and just like at your local tournament, if it happens, it happens. There's nothing to do about it, but now you're at least aware of what can happen. With that, though, we are going to cut to our first official ranked duel, and you'll hear me in just a second. So with our first ever duel on the line, we're going up against Fortune Ladies, an archetype that hasn't really seen play a very long time, but who are we to judge? We start off going first and activating Magical Meltdown, fetching us an Aliester, then popping our Shaddoll Fusion to go into Winda. Hedgehog grabs us a Wendy from the deck, and Fackle special summons itself face down. On his turn, he activates his, I believe it's Fortune Lady not calling the other one, and then activates Fortune Lady calling following, summoning
Fortune Lady Fire, which activates its effect, popping Winda, making us take damage equal to its attack. We then get our Shaddoll Fusion back, he sets 2 and passes to us. On our turn, we immediately go for activating, I believe, Shaddoll Fusion, yes. Fusing Wendy and Mathematician to create a Shekinaga. We attempt to activate Wendy's effect, but Wendy gets ashed. We then go into our battle phase and use Shekinaga to punch over Fortune Lady Fire, but it gets negate attacked. We then pass our turn to our opponent. Both of them now having a stack, and he activates the, I believe it's the Fortune Rod, which basically gives it 100 extra attack and defense equal to its level. We then flip up Falco, activating its effect to bring back Wendy from the graveyard face down. We then activate Super Polymerization, ditching Ariel, using his water to destroy as many cards as possible, going into the water fusion that I cannot pronounce. It bashes over Fortune Lady Fire, Shekinaga goes in for 2,600, and we end our turn. He simply sets 1, passes. We flip open Wendy in order to special summon a monster, which we do Dragon in face down. We go to battle phase, Wendy punches over his face down, which turns out to be another Fortune Lady Fire, and we go in, leaving him at 100 life points. During his main phase, he simply summons a monster, does nothing else. We flip open Drago, it returns to the hand, we punch him, and that's game 1. Game number 2. This time around, we are going to be going second. Our opponent opens off with the same combo as before, fetching himself Fortune Lady Past, and this time he's actually able to get off the ground, special summoning into all of the Fortune Ladies he needs in order to Synchro Summon into Fortune Lady Every, which is coming up. Fortune Lady Every is very, very dangerous, so we need a way to deal with it quickly. We go into Shaddoll Fusion, which gets ashed, but he quickly realizes that he cannot ash it because it is not Shaddoll Fusion, so we simply rewind and go back. We fuse Beast with Wendy, going into Apkalone. Apkalone using its effect to negate Fortune Lady Every. Wendy then gets a Dragon face down, and Beast draws a card. He draws into Magical Meltdown, which we activate, which does get ashed. And Apkalone goes in for attacking Fortune Lady Every, but he activates Synchro Calling, meaning he can banish his current Synchro to get another one from the grave. It's simply a Synchro Summon that uses your field and graveyard like a fusion spell. He goes into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is the name. I had a blackout there. He pops another one of his fortune cards, drawing an Every and setting it, then activating the Crystal Wing effect when he attacks, which gives him attack equal to the monster he's attacking. We flip open Dragon, returning it to the extra deck. We pop an Allure, which does go off, giving us a Shaddoll Fusion and an Shaddoll Fusion. Not the greatest, but as he could have negated that effect, we simply rewinded to make it so that he would have negated it, because it would make more sense. We then go into Shaddoll Fusion, activate our Apkalone, silencing his Crystal Wing, then using Shaddoll Fusion to go into Construct, which completely breaks open his board, since most things are special summoned. Wendy grabs us a Beast. Construct simply attacks, and it is activated and immediately destroyed. Apkalone goes and bashes the face-down card, and we pass the turn. He simply sets 1, passes, we draw into an Ash Blossom. Beast activates, drawing 2 cards, and we are pitching Invocation this time around, setting Super Poly. Beast goes in, Apkalone goes in, Construct goes in, leaving our opponent at 500 life points. During his main step, he simply sets 1, we go straight to battle phase, battle in, and the duel is over, granting us our first 2-0 win. For the second duel, we are going second, and we're going up against Eldlich. Our starting hand is not all too great, as he begins going into his Eldlich combo immediately, but luckily for us, we do have an Ash to stop it dead in its tracks. He does go into... We attempt to activate Mathematician, but he uses Solemn Judgment, losing half his life points, to then we activate Shaddoll Fusion, going into a Construct. Skomata then drops... Construct drops a Skomata, which drops a Wendy, which special summons itself, and then another special summon happens. He uses the Conquistador Trap card, which special summons itself, but it is immediately destroyed upon Construct attacking it. We set 1 and pass the turn, to which he activates Pot of Extravagance, drawing 2 cards. He pays 800 life points to send Eldlich to the graveyard, which then returns to his hand, and then is discarded. He then pops the back row, which turns out to be Shaddoll Fusion, letting us go into Winda, as at this point I rather not have it popped. We then Falco special summons itself, which is going to be the only effect, but Infinite Impermanence stops us dead in its tracks by attaching itself to Construct. Eldlich is then special summoned by discarding the spell card on the field, and it is now at 4,000 attack, attacking into our Construct, which is destroyed. We take the damage, but we get a Shaddoll Fusion back from our graveyard. He then banishes, I believe, 2 spells from his graveyard in order to set 2 trap cards onto the field. Oh no, he banishes 1 spell card, sets a trap, then banishes 2 traps, and sets 2 other ones. There you go. During our main phase 1, we realize that this is going to be an incredibly hard duel. We wait for a moment. We simply go on the defensive, changing everything to the defense position, and then setting Hedgehog. Here we realize that he is in fact making an illegal move because he can only special summon once thanks to Winda, but it doesn't matter in the end as he disconnects, giving us a bye. Unfortunate, because that could have been a fun duel. For our third duel of today, we are going up against UA, which are Ultimate Athletes. Also, shoutouts to our opponent here. He was one of the most friendly people I've met in a long time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It was amazing fun playing up against him. We go into Foolish Burial, Dumping Swimada, Dumping Wendy, special summoning our Beast, normal summoning our Aliester, getting our Invocation, getting Mechaba on the board very early. Invocation's effect activates, returning it to the deck and giving us Aliester in our hand. This passes us on to our opponent, who does a Foolish Burial Goods, which is just fine. He dumps his penalty box, activating it immediately, drawing Hyper Stadium. Hyper Stadium comes out, allowing him to draw one of his UAs from the deck, and then getting another field spell, but losing 1,000 life points. He then activates the second UA, I believe it's UA Field, getting into his UA combo, going into Dunker. Dunker gets a counter, and he activates the UA Overcharged thing. When he attempts to attack, now having 4k, I activate Turtle to end his battle phase immediately, because that shit is scary. He then drops 2 monsters on the board, attempting to destroy Mechaba, but I use one of my negates to get it out of there. During my turn, I flip open Beast in order to draw 2 cards, dropping a Dragon. Dragon's effect popping his back row, which happens to be a penalty box, allowing him to get Perfect Ace to his hand. We activate our Aliester, drawing Invocation back, activating Magical Meltdown in order to get another Aliester to our hand. He activates the effect of Libero Spiker, which I drop Falco for. I activate Invocation in order to get into a Winda, just to try and limit his board as much as possible. I then go into the end step, and during the standby phase, his Dunker is destroyed thanks to the effect of his equip card. He goes into his combo again, getting Player Manager, popping... oh yeah, they also get 500 attack every time one is summoned thanks to the field spell. I go into Mechaba to destroy it, misclicking Winda off the field accidentally. We then take 700 points of damage as Winda goes into beatdown mode, and we just begin smacking him in the face for as much damage as possible, going to 1800. We pass the turn, and now we're going into the bad area here, because we have no spell in order to negate his field spell, and he simply just pops off, knowing that we can only negate once. Here, we go into our main phase and activate El Shaddoll Fusion in an attempt to break through his board going into Construct. However, this is probably the biggest misplay I do this entire duel due to the fact that I can still not beat over him because he is protected. He simply goes on from there and goes back into his UA combos, popping things off the board continuously to where we have no return. He bashes over our Beast and he bashes over our Winda, returning 2 spells to our hand. Unfortunately, we draw into a Ash Blossom a little bit too late, and we lose game 1. Game number 2, we decide yet again to go first, hoping to disrupt him early enough. We draw into 2 Twin Twisters and a Lost Twin, which is decent, but we don't really have anything else, so we simply set 3 and pass, our set being Falco, which is probably the worst one. He goes for Pot of Extravagance, which does go through as I have nothing to stop it with, allowing him to draw 2 additional cards. He then activates Hyper Stadium yet again, and the combo continues. Libero Spiker comes to his hand as he summons it to the field, allowing him to get Player Manager to pop a back row. As he does this, I just pop off Lost Wind on him because there's nothing else I can really do. He goes down to 1,000 attack. Our Falco is unfortunately destroyed, and we take 1,000 points of damage to where he sets 2 back row and ends his turn, where we chain Twin Twisters and upset him somewhat, but the drops that we get are not super relevant, as it is an infinite imperm and penalty box. We draw into Magical Meltdown, which doesn't really do us anything, unfortunately, but we play it anyway. It gets ashed, so we get nothing. Libero has to return a UA from the field to special summon another one, which gets negated by his summon, and we are just kind of stuck. We have an empty field, we have a Magical Meltdown on it, there is not much we can do here. We take 3,500 points of damage, like there is no tomorrow. Oh, sorry, 2,500 because it is still lowered. We get a Trick Clown that we just set face down. There's no other option for us. And he just goes into his UA combo, pops the Clown, and we take the fat L on this one. Still, shoutouts to this guy. He was super kind and really fun to play against. I'd love to see him again someday. Now for possibly the longest duel I have ever had. The actual time on this is 1 hour and 15 minutes. We're playing against Sky Strikers. We go first and we activate Magical Meltdown, which gets immediately ashed, so we set a dragon and end our turn. We attempt to go into Mathematician on our following turn, but it gets negated with Cyframe Gamma. We flip up a dragon to flip one of his face down cards back to his hand, and we accidentally summon Squamata due to a misclick, so we pull it back to our hand. On his turn, he goes into Upstart Goblin, activating Afterburners, destroying our dragon. Dragon, as it's destroyed by an effect, pops the Widow Anchor, but Widow Anchor banishes it from the graveyard. We go into an Allure on our turn, drawing into Squamata and Falco, dumping an Aliester, then activating Invocation to try and get Winda on the board, to which he chains Metaverse, and we're now sitting in Mystic Mine. This is very unfortunate, so we pass turn, get into an Allure, pass turn, he activates Imperm, stopping our Winda. He goes into Ray, which goes into, not Kagari, the other one. It attacks us directly, we take 1,500 points of damage, and then he goes into Kagari. As Kagari hits the field, we decide that enough is probably enough. When he activates Afterburners, we go into Super Poly, using his Kagari to summon Grista. We cannot use any monster effects though, because we are still under Mystic Mine, and now we are sitting here with 0 cards in our hand up against a mine. We draw into a Poly and set it. He passes turn, we pass turn, he passes turn, we pass turn, he passes turn, we pass turn. Welcome to Mystic Mine gameplay, ladies and gentlemen. He activates an Effect Veiler just to have it in the graveyard so he can activate Pot of Avarice, allowing him to draw 2 more cards as we are standing with 1. He goes into Array, that goes back into the Direct Attacker, whatever its name is. At this point, I activate an El Shaddoll Fusion, going into App Cologne, turning off his Mystic Mine. Beast also allows me to draw a card, but I still take 1,500 points of damage. He then goes into Kagari, as we expected. He drops a Shark Cannon, which he does not pick up. He picks up Afterburners. Afterburners activates, and he does not destroy my Super Poly that set. He destroys his own Mystic Mine. Mistake on my part there, and I question him as to why he would do that since it's negated anyway, but I digress. He goes into his Water Striker, whatever its name is, which gets Mecha Modules, which he now has in his hand. We activate our Shaddoll Fusion, going into our Construct. Squamata, of course, dropping Wendy, setting another card. Perform a Pal Trick Clown, setting itself, and Falco now face down. In the battle phase, Construct Effects activates, immediately destroying the Sky Striker, to which special summons Ray. We use our Falco and Ray to get Winda onto the board, Falco special summoning itself, and then we get Nibiru. This is the card that we have been trying to play against for a very long time, but Nibiru has hit the board, and we can't really do anything about it. We do get El Shaddoll Fusion and Shaddoll Fusion back from our graveyard thanks to the effect of Winda and Construct, but that isn't really a lot. He overlays into Zeke, banishing a card, which removes the token from the field immediately, then going into Kagari. Kagari drawing Shark Cannon. Mecha Modules goes online as he summons his Direct Attacker once more and slaps us in the face for a little bit of damage, dropping a Widow Anchor. He then activates Shark Cannon, getting a Winda back, which activates Module during the end step to get a Shark Cannon to his hand, and then banishing 2 cards. I then activate my Shaddoll Incarnation in the graveyard to flip open Falco, special summoning a Squamata. which I set face down. During my turn, I flip up Muskamata and pop his Shizuku is the name of the water one. See, I got this now. Which does special summon Ray. We go into battle phase, beat over Ray because we don't want to deal with it. Set 2 cards face down and end our turn. During the standby phase, Winda is destroyed, which would have activated her effect, but her effect has no targets in the graveyard, meaning her effect activation is illegal, which is both a mistake on my part, but also a mistake on his part for not checking my graveyard, but we simply rule that we should, return game state and leave it as it was. He then goes into Mystic Mine number 2, and we are yet again stuck passing our turn back and forth. Peak Yu-Gi-Oh! Gameplay. We do set an aerial just in case something will happen later on, but no such thing. He sets a card, we set a card, he sets a card, we set a card, and after that we just scoop, knowing that we have no out to Mystic Mine. Second game, we're going in hard, going first this time. We set an aerial, get our entire combo just going off. We go into Foolish Burial, doing our combo, summoning a dragon, making sure he can't stop us this time. He goes into Ray, goes into Sky Striker, smack you in the face. We get smacked in the face. He goes into Kagari. Kagari returns his Shark Cannon to the hand. He then goes into Shizuku, setting 4, which is bad for us. During our turn, we draw into a Twin Twister, so we activate Dragon, attempting to return 1 card to the hand, realizing its summon limit. We then activate Shaddoll Fusion now that we have the opportunity, dropping Hedgehog and Wendy to get Apkalone. Apkalone silencing Shizuku. Dragon gets drawn to our hand and Beasts get set onto the field, to which we activate El Shaddoll Fusion, dropping 2 cards to get Winda. Here we get Shark Cannon for Dragon, so it is exiled. We then activate Twin Twister, popping both of his back row, one of them being Shark Cannon and the other one being Widow Anchor. None of them activating since he only had 1 spell in the graveyard. Since it is negated, we simply punch him in the face for a bunch of damage during our turn. Ray does get special summoned back, but we destroy that as well, and then attack him with Winda for 2,200, and we pass the turn. He activates Rhoda during his turn, drawing his other Ray, and then activating Shark Cannon to steal our Wendy. Ray comes out, going into Sky Striker, smack you in the face. She smacks us in the face. He also manages to kill our dragon using our own Winda. He drops an Afterburners. He drops both of the cards, going into Ray, which does give us El Shaddoll Fusion back, but banishing Apkalone until my next end phase. We drop the card we just drew in our set Super Poly, as well as Ariel, in order to go into Grista. Ariel's effect activates, and we get to remove 3 cards from his graveyard. I was tempted to remove a Ray, but realized that there's really no point at this time. We go in for some damage with Grista. He simply sets 2 passes. We do the same. Apkalone comes back during our end phase, which negate his mecha modules permanently. We flip up a Trick Clown, and we simply go in for the game. Game number 3 is probably the most clutch game I've had so far for the series. We are going second this time, and he simply sets 2 passes. We set 3 and pass. When he goes into Cosmic Cyclone, we simply let Reincarnation go. It's no point activating it right now. He goes into Upstart Goblin, sets 2, activates Mystic Mine. We have the Twinnies this time, so we can get rid of Mystic Mine and a set Cosmic Cyclone. We draw into an Invocation, which is not exactly what we want. We attempt to activate Hedgehog, which gets ashed, but we're still able to go into Winda, as well as banishing 3 cards from his graveyard, so we choose 3 spells to make sure that none of his Sky Striker spells are active. He sets 1, which we attack into with Winda, which turns out to be an Effect Veiler, and we set a card, and he goes into his second Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine gameplay ensues, where we simply pass our turn back and forth, refilling our hands until we feel like it's time to act. Nothing happens for a good 5 or 6 turns here, as we are back to 5 cards in hand, Winda still on the field. We have set 4, he has set 4, we go into an Allure, banishing a beast, nothing fucking happens. We go into a Meltdown, Meltdown gets ashed. He activates the Icy Dragon Imprisonment, which simply special summons a card from our graveyard and then banishes 2 cards of the same attribute. Ray comes into attack mode. We activate an El Shaddoll Fusion that we have set to go into Winda, and it gets impermed. He goes into Sky Striker, smack you in the face, which immediately tags out for the Earth one, which we hit with Super Poly to go into Shekinaga. Afterburners comes out and pops our Shekinaga, unfortunately, so we didn't really get anything off of that, but we do get a Shaddoll Fusion back. He activates Pot of Avarice to return as many Sky Strikers as possible to his deck, along with 2 Ashes and an Effect Veiler. He now has 5 set, and we got nothing. We try to activate Invocation, which uses Aliester and Trick Clown for a Mechaba. Trick Clown special summoning itself, losing us 1,000 life points. He then goes into the thing, and both of them are machines, so they are both banished. We then activate Invocation's effect to send it back. We normal summon Aliester. Aliester gets hit with an Imperm. We activate Shaddoll Fusion in order to go into Construct, dropping Wendy and Falco from the effects. Falco special summoning itself, Wendy special summoning a dragon. Battle phase comes, and he hits us with a Nibiru, giving us a token. We do get El Shaddoll Fusion back. We activate Super Poly using his rock, but he has a Widow Anchor set that takes control of our construct until the end of the turn. He does take his Widow Anchor back, chaining 2 Widow Anchors to each other, taking both the token and our construct for the turn. Going into Ray, that goes into Sky Striker, smack you in the face. We activate Super Poly using our own construct to go into Apkalone, which silences the token, making it a 0/0. We then get a set card on the board, and we still get smacked for 1,500 points of damage. He activates the effect, obviously going into Kagari again, which I thought he was going into Zeke instead, getting rid of the Apkalone. Zeke tags out for Kagari. Kagari draws Afterburners. He then goes into Shizuku. Shizuku sets up by drawing Shark Cannon, activating Shark Cannon, getting rid of the construct, and now allowing him to draw 3 cards from his graveyards with his, whatever, it's not Engage, it's the other one. He then takes Wendy, using Shark Cannon, which I activate Shaddoll Fusion, going into Apkalone. Apkalone silencing Winda. He then drops an Effect Veiler, which stops the effect dead in its track, unfortunately. We then activate another Magical Meltdown in order to draw into an Aliester. We beat over the Winda, giving us a El Shaddoll Fusion back. We go into our main phase 2, where we choose to activate said card by flipping open Falco, getting our Ariel back, setting the card face down. Oh yeah, I was showing it to him, that's why it was played. Apkalone comes back. He is now popping one of our Apkalones as well as the El Shaddoll Fusion. We do get a Wendy to our hand thanks to this, which is discarded. And then special summons a Squamata face down. He activates Afterburners again. I activate El Shaddoll Fusion this time to go into another Apkalone, silencing his Shizuku. Not that it's going to do much, but it's better than losing more value on the board. Ariel goes to the graveyard, and we can dump 3 cards from his graveyard into Banish, to which he goes into Kagari yet again. He goes into his Mobile Suit, which, no, he did a mistake. He goes for Afterburners. Ray comes in, smacks our Falco down the line. Squamata's effect activates, destroying Kagari. Ray goes into Sky Striker, smack you in the face. She smacks us in the face. He then goes into Shizuku again, and now we're staring down Shizuku and a Widow Anchor in hand. We activate our Aliester, drawing into Invocation, using Invocation in order to get our second and last Mechaba on the board. Activating Invocation's effect to get Aliester back, so now we have 2 separate negates, one for the Shark Cannon and one for any monster that he happens to drop. We drop Shizuku, and we're in a good spot here. He goes for Special Summoning Ray, which we negate immediately using the Aliester that we drew. He goes for Shark Cannon, which we drop Twin Twister to negate. Unfortunately, he has another Ray, going into Kagari, going into Widow Anchor, sealing the game. Incredibly unfortunate, but that was a hell of a close duel. Shoutouts. Our last duel is going to be incredibly short because we were playing up against Dinos. We decide to go first, given, we don't have knowledge of what we're playing against. Our starting hand is pretty good. We decide to activate Foolish Burial, going into our usual combo, dropping Squamata, dropping Wendy, special summoning Beast. We then set a Hedgehog, set our El Shaddoll. During standby, we activate El Shaddoll Fusion, using both of our Hedgehogs to go into Winda. When our opponent sees this Winda, he attempts to Ash something, I can't remember. Oh, he ashed the Hedgehog in Grave. He drops a Miscellaneousaurus, meaning he is out of there, but then, as I say, it's only activated effects that is negated. He scoops and rage quits the game, giving us an unfortunate bye. And that is going to be the end of our first official ranked episode for the series. And to be honest, we put up a good fight out there. I mean, yeah, obviously, we took a very hard defeat against UAs, but we managed to go hand in hand up against Sky Strikers, which is a fairly good control deck, right? And we lost by the skin of our teeth. Going forward, there is a lot of products that we could sort of evolve into at this point. And during our normal playtime in the previous episodes, as well as in this one, I am very quickly beginning to realize what our major problem is. We don't have enough disruption. The thing is, our deck works in preventive ways. We want to stop our opponents from getting to use their combo or their play or whatever they're doing. But the only way we currently have of doing so is one of the 3 negates we have available in Shekinaga, Mekaba, or our single Ash Blossom, essentially, and the Control Freak of Wendy. If we can get our deck to have more disruption without sacrificing anything major, we're in the gold here. So we have a couple of products that we're going to be opening throughout the next week, and I hope we get what we need, because we're about to take this deck into the high ranks. But that is for another episode. Currently, we are sitting at 6 star chips, which I am still going to save up to unlock challenges, I think, because they are going to really, really spice up our rewards from then on. But that will have to wait until next week. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and especially for all the support I've gotten on the previous episode so far. It's extreme to me. I didn't think anyone would want to watch the crap that I'm putting out there, but I've gotten 20 subscribers. I've gotten over 100 views on all the previous episodes. It's amazing. Thank you to everyone that's watching, and I hope you'll stick around for the next episode. Until then, take care out there.